So along with if statements, loops are one of the fundamental techniques of programming. And essentially a loop is just doing something several times and looping through the results. So let's see a very simple loop and how we might set it up. The type of loop that we're looking at in this video is a for loop. There's also something called a while loop, which is something that we'll look at in the next video. So for now, we'll start by using the word for. So for takes us through a cycle of values of a particular variable. And the way we do that is we create a variable. So we normally call it I. I is our standard counter variable. So I is equal to 1. So that's stating the initial value of I. So I is going to be our counter variable that's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through this loop. And we're setting it initially to start at 1. Then we have a semicolon. So let's set the upper value for what I can go up to in our loop. We'll say I is less than 5. So that means that this loop will continue as long as this statement is true. So as long as I is less than 5. So essentially I is going to go 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's not going to actually hit 5 because we want I to be less than 5, or at least we've set that as our rule. If we wanted it to go all the way up to 5, we could change it to less than or equal to 5, like that. But we'll keep it as less than 5 for the moment. And the last bit of our for loop statement tells the increments that we should increase I in. So the standard one is I++. That means I is going to go up by 1 each time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We might want I to go up by 2 each time, in which case we'd say I equals I plus 2, like that. If we want I to decrease by 1 each time, then we'd say I equals I minus 1. So this is essentially this part. So this part is essentially the rule that takes I from the previous value to the next value. And we want I to just increase by 1, which is the usual thing to do. So we're going to start I at 1. We've defined the variable I using var and set I equal to 1. We've defined the values for which this loop will be continued. So it will continue as long as I is less than 5. And we're going to do it with I increasing 1 by 1 each time. Okay. That's the end of our loop, and then the action that we want to take we then put inside curly brackets as usual. And for now we're just going to do a very simple alert I. So let's see what this does. So it starts by alerting the number 1, then alerts the number 2, number 3, number 4, and then it stops. So that's what we expected. Let's just try out a couple of other things. So we might want I to go up in 3s, let's say. So I equals I plus 3. Freshen that, so it starts at 1. What's the next one going to be? It's 4. Because we're going up in 3s every time, and then 7, and then it stops, because the next one would be 10, which isn't less than 9. So that will do for our introduction to for loops. Let's just very simply see how we might use this in a website. It's a bit of a trivial example, but it'll do the job. So we're going to create a array. So we're going to create an array. Call it my array, and we'll set it to some good old types of food. Why not crisps? So feel free to use completely different values in your array if you'd like. And then what we're going to do is just cycle through the different values in this array and alert those. So let's say we're going to start with I being 0. Because remember, the array counter starts at 0, so this is going to go 0, 1, 2. We want to keep going as long as I is less than the number of items in that array. Now, can you remember how to get that? I hope you did. it's myArray dot length. So this gives you the length of the array. This is going to be 3 in this case, because we've got 3 items in the array. So we want I to be less than that, not less than or equal to, because we're starting at 0. So this is going to go 0, 1, 2, which is what we want. And we want I to increase by 1 each time. So first of all, let's just do that. Ah, that's no good, is it? I'm alerting the number itself. I don't want to do that. I want to alert the array value. So let's try that instead, but I don't want 0, I want I. So that should alert the ith array item. So when I is 0, we'll get the first value, which is pizza. When I is 1, we'll get the second value, which is chocolate. And when I is 2, we'll get the third value, which is crisps. There we go, pizza, chocolate, crisps. Fantastic. As a final option here, I'm just going to show you how we might put that into an area on the page. So we might not want to alert all the values in the array, especially if it's a particularly long array. So what we're going to do is create a new variable, and we'll call it an array string. Now, a string is just a collection of numbers and letters and punctuation, essentially. So pizza is a string, chocolate is a string, crisps is a string. So what we're going to do is take these 3 values in an array and combine them into a single string. See what I mean by that? So instead of alerting the value, we want to add the value of the array to the array string. So we're going to take array string and put it equal to what it was before plus my array I. So let's see what that's going to do. If we loop through it in our heads, it's going to start when array string is empty because we haven't actually given it any value yet. So it's just going to set it to an empty string plus my array 0, which is pizza. So after 1 loop, array string is going to be equal to pizza. After 2 loops, it's going to be equal to pizza chocolate, because it's just going to put chocolate on the end. And after 3 loops, it's going to be pizza chocolate crisps. Okay, so let's give this P an ID. We can get rid of those because we don't need those for the moment. Well, let's call it array string and get rid of the text there. And then we want to make our array string, whatever the text is there, appear in this paragraph. So I'll give you a moment to try and do that yourself. Did you manage it? I hope you did something like document.getElement by ID array string dot inner HTML equals array string. So this should just display the words pizza, chocolate, crisps. Let's have a look. There we go. Ah, now we've got an undefined in there. That's interesting. Ah, that's good. Yeah, I like that. That's because initially the array string was indeed undefined because we hadn't set it to anything. So let's set it to a blank string. So equals and then a pair of quotation marks there, and that should get rid of our undefined. There we go. So that was the problem there. That was an interesting little issue. It's not very nice having it all in one word like that, so let's add a comma, or a space at least, between the words. There we go. So this is a quite handy technique for displaying all of the items in an array if you want to just see on the screen what that array is.